Now, the other thing is I keep this lying around in my room. It actually comes from like up here. So this is always around. I love having crystals all over the show because they just add energy and absorb the negativity and that sort of thing. Hi, it's Matt from Tubby Tarot again. Welcome to another 10 Talk Tuesday. Today, I want to ask you, how do you focus? How do you focus either before a reading or perhaps after a reading? Or how do you focus when you're doing a bit of a meditation, if you focus on anything during meditation, or when you're just maybe not meditating, but certainly introspecting, looking within yourself? What do you use to focus? Okay. What I've got here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little things that I can show you that in my sphere, in my room, in my prayer room, that I can use to focus on. All right. Now, as I said to you, you can use anything. One of the things you can do, of course, is use a tarot card. Now, behind me here are lots and lots and lots of tarot decks that I can choose any tarot card from there, or even a oracle card, because oracle cards might even work better. Okay, or I could choose the Lenormand card, although Lenormand cards don't work very well as far as focusing and doing any sort of shadow work or anything like that with, for the simple fact is that it's a very different reading system. But you could choose a tarot card and use that to focus. You could then go so deeply into that. You could analyze the archetypes, you could analyze the background, you can analyze how your feelings to that card. So that's one way of actually focusing, okay? The other thing that you need to remember is when I'm talking about focusing, I'm really talking about ways to hone your focus in and ground yourself before reading or before meditation session. So this is not meditating on the candle flame. This is just looking at the candle flame, getting your focus and bringing yourself down to be grounded. Okay, and there are things you can look at to do this. The first thing I'm going to show you is something that you can, I'm sure many, if not all of you have something like this, and that is my skulls. Okay, I don't know if you can see this one, it's clear glass. All right. Oh, there he is, there's one. So I've got this one, and then I've got this really cool one as well. He's like, he shimmers. I don't know if you can see that. He kind of changes like a bluey, oily. He's like an oily one. Like he changes in the light. Put him in the light. No, you can't really see him in the light, but he kind of changes. So I've got these two. I actually use them when they're not being used as focal points. They actually are my bookends. I use them as bookends, okay? So they are little jars, all right? So you can put like your red wine in there or whatever. These are awesome because they are lifelike, all right? And yet they also have that clear consistency like a crystal ball, or you can look at that kind of like oily, shiny bit. Okay, so these I can use to focus on. And as I said, I'm sure you've all got one or two, something like that lying around. Now, of course, one of the easiest things to do to use to focus on is a crystal. All right, this is my beautiful giant lump of amethyst that I've got. All right, it's probably the biggest crystal that I have in my collection. In fact, it is. And you can see it's still got all the it's got like bits of rock where they took it out. It's still got like bits of the original rock on there, which I don't want to take off. I don't want to shine this up because this is exactly how it came out of the ground. So you could use this or any crystal. It doesn't have to be a huge big blob of crystal like this. It doesn't have to be amethyst. You can use any crystal. You can go to your garden shop and go and buy yourself a whole bag of rose quartz for virtually nothing. And you could use one or two pieces, not only in your garden or in your apartment, to sort of pop around your apartment or put in with your plants, but you could use that as a focal point. Okay. Now, the other thing is I keep this lying around in my room. It actually comes from like up here. So this is always around. I love having crystals all over the show because they just add energy and absorb the negativity and that sort of thing. The other thing you can use, and a lot of people do this, it's probably one of the most common things to use as a focal point is, of course, a candle. You can use your candle. This is my beautiful Gothic candle that I've been using for about 30 years. Not quite, but you can see it's been used quite a lot. You can use a candle to focus on. So you light your candle and then you just sit in a darkened area and you just focus on the candlelight. letting the candlelight take you where it wants you to go. Okay, when you're working with candles, remember, don't force a picture onto the candle. In fact, anything that is clear, I'm going to show you something else just now. Anything that is clear or that is kind of that lends itself to have an image projected onto it, try not to do that. Let the candle glow or whatever, let that lead you. Don't superimpose yourself or your thoughts onto that surface. Does that make sense to you? Kind of makes sense to me. Okay, so candles, definitely. The nice thing is you can get cheap candles. If you can't afford like big candles, go and get yourself a little pack of birthday candles. I know they're really cool to work with witchy spells, little birthday candles, if you don't want to go and buy a great big box of black candles, whatever. Focal point candles, lovely. Okay. The other thing that you can do, of course, is you can get yourself one of these things. Okay, I'll put it over here. You can get yourself a crystal ball. Now, I wish this was crystal. It's not. It's just a solid glass one, because I was looking at a crystal one and it was just so expensive. There was no way. It was like super expensive in South Africa. I think because and this is quite a small one. I think because the quartz that they're made out of is just so expensive, the clear quartz. So I got myself a glass one, and trust me, there's nothing wrong with a glass one. Okay, this is really nice because you can use it for so many things, not only to focus, but you can use it for scrying. You can use it for like thought projection. This is another one of those surfaces like flame that you don't want to project like what's in your head onto the surface. Allow what's in here to project itself onto you, which will ground you and calm you and allow you to focus on what is here. Don't let this affect that. Okay, it's a lot more difficult than what you think. So you can use a crystal ball. If you can't afford a crystal one, go and buy a glass one like I have. Okay, it's the same thing. Also with this, there's something called a black mirror or a witch's mirror, known as a scrying mirror. You can also get one of those. You can make them yourself. Go and buy yourself a nice mirror. If you can get a lovely ornate one, it'll be even better. And what you do is you paint the actual mirror black, all right? Preferably with like a non-reflective black paint, so like a PVA paint. Try not to get it shiny. Try and make it matte. And you paint it all, the whole thing black, including the glass, of course, and you can use that as a focal point and as a scrying mirror, the same as you would with this ball. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is, of course, something that we all have on our altars. No matter what deity we pray to, we should all have at least a picture or an effigy of our deity. And of course, I'm sure you've all seen my Ganesha. Okay, here's my beautiful painted Ganesha, and I actually do use him sometimes when I'm doing a meditative prayer. I would use this specific one, in fact, because it's the perfect size and it's got all the coloring and it looks, dare I say, lifelike. It's got it's just bright and really, really cool. So you can use your deity as a focal point as well. I hope that was intriguing. I don't know. I'd love to hear what you guys use as focal points or focusing points, because, as I say, there are so many things you can use. Let me know down below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Matt from Tubby Tarot, and I'll see you on the flip side.